Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees, the podcast. Well, the Empire strikes back. The Yankee gives Boston a taste of their own medicine with some clutch hitting, some defensive gems there, a few double plays, as well as some good base stealing to take Game 2 and hold on for a nail-biting 4-3 win, which then sets up a Game 3 do-or-die sudden death showdown in the Bronx with a couple of rookies on mound with an opportunity to advance to the next round against the Toronto Blue Jays. So we'll look back at this Game 2, all the exciting moments, and there were plenty of them, and again, preview Game 3 where it's going to pretty much be all hands on deck, even though they did announce the two starters there. I mean, pretty much everyone's going to unload the tank there to hold on and try to move on to the next round there. So we'll look at that whole situation. But before we do get started, make sure you're a podcast subscriber so you get these takes right after the game. Section 420 Talkin Yankees, wherever you get your favorite podcast. And there's also a more overview, maybe bigger picture type of show version on YouTube. So go to YouTube, search for Section 420 Talkin Yankees, and subscribe there as well. So the Yankees are backs against their wall. I mean, pretty much if they would lose Game 2, they would be going home, packing the bags after the whole season where were they a great team this year? No. They were a very, 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 very good team this year, yeah. And, it would have been really just sad to exit this point early on in the playoffs. You at least want to go there a little bit. Obviously, you can't expect to go back to the World Series, but again, you want to hang around the dance and not just be wiped out in 2 games. So at least the Yankees bring it to a third game, and obviously want to bounce back after that first game, which a lot of controversy. I mean, you start off with the whole situation with Boone taking Max Fried out early and all the blowback to that. And then, of course, the lineup he put out there, starting Rosario over Jazz, and Jazz didn't seem happy with that. And then, obviously, not having Ben Rice at all in the Game 1 lineup when the guy was pretty much hot coming down the stretch of the game. Man, hit 2 home runs in the final game of the regular season, but again, not at all. So questionable there. But, of course, you understand that, throwing against the lefty Crochet there, why you would rather go with Goldschmidt at first base and have more of the veteran Austin Wells behind the plate, who's also a lefty, but again, more of a veteran there. So very shaky there. And, of course, the Yankees teased you in that 9th inning. Nobody out with Chapman up, and then opportunity to put a couple runs on the board with Giancarlo Stanton, who was like Superman last year's postseason run. Obviously, comes up blank there, and the Yankees get another pop-up and a strikeout after that, and then allow Chapman to escape there. So kind of an ugly, annoying 3-1 loss there. And, of course, the Yankees have that in the back of the mind as they approach this Game 2. Now, I did like this Yankees' chances in this Game 2. Kind of mentioned over that, I predicted this final score would probably be a little bit bigger than it turned out to be. I think it'd be kind of a 6-3 game. Came close to that. It was a 4-3 game. Pretty much as I thought. Rendon was pretty steady. Obviously, he was going to shut them down completely as Max Fried did in Game 1. Obviously he kind of held us home, but, he did have a bases loaded jam there where gave up RBI single to Trevor Story, brought the score from that point from 3-0 to 3-2 there, but did get one of the 2 double plays the Yankees turned in this game, and that at that point was crucial against Bregman, who obviously has always killed the Yankees, not only as a Red Sox, but go back to the Houston days, and also, again, tacked on a run in that Game 1 in the 9th inning to make it from a 2-1 game to 3-1 game, which you don't know how the circumstances would have been different with Chapman coming in there. I mean, to me, it felt like that game was over once Weaver blew the lead, but nevertheless, there, in that case of finally getting Bregman to ground into a double play to get out of that jam there. And the Yankees putting some runs up early on the board. The aforementioned Ben Rice, who, again, wasn't in the Game 1 lineup, and, people kind of scratched their heads there with Boom, why this guy's hitting hot, and Ben Rice can hit lefties, even though Crochet's nasty. Well, first inning, proves everyone right, hits a 2-run home run, puts the Yankees on the board early there. And then after Boston tied the game, Judge with a little flare to left field. And the thing we knew about Boston, look, we know what the Yankees' their game is. They just hit home runs, okay? We know that now. But on the Boston side, the way they win with, you say, look up down the names on the roster, maybe, you got a lot of good young talent, but maybe overall you look at the names, maybe it doesn't compare to the Yankees, so they have to win in other ways. And the way they be winning, they get a lot of hits. They don't get as many home runs as the Yankees, but they do hit. They field the ball well. They don't make mistakes. They run the bases very, very, very well. And that's how they overcome teams like the Yankees, who are kind of these big sluggers there. Well, in this case, obviously, in this game, kind of Yankees flipped the script on that, as I kind of mentioned intro. Durant in left field. Judge with a little flare to left field. A ball that should have been caught. They gave Judge a hit on it, but it was definitely a very catchable ball. And maybe Durant was probably playing towards the warning track because of Judge's power. You understand that. But still, the ball was hung up enough time. I meant that ball should have been caught in left field. And there's again a rare miscue by a Red Sox outfielder there, allowed another run to score. Again, they gave Judge an RBI, and that really should have been an error. But nevertheless, at the point, the Yankees took a 3-2 lead, and then later on, Boston would tie the score there and threaten. Another one of the big key moments was Trevor Story, who hit a home run earlier just to tie the score at 3-3, and had a bases-loaded opportunity against Fernando Cruz. Now, Cruz almost blew the lead earlier. Yoshida pinch hitting in the game, smoked the ground ball, and I hit the mound a little bit to slow it down a bit, and then Jazz was able to field it. Now, if Jazz couldn't get the throw to first base, but at least prevented the ball from going to the outfield, which a runner should have definitely scored there from third base. Kept the score 3-3 at that point. and then Cruz stayed on to battle Trevor Story, who took a ball deep to the center field wall, and just the way, Story, who actually had a couple of hits in game one there, crushed a home run before. You thought maybe this guy was going to put up a grand salami, and at that point, the game would have been 7-3, and then good luck and good night for the Yankees at that point, but the ball kind of died out by the warning track, and then maintained the 3-3 tie, and of course, Cruz, we know he celebrates a little hard, but I think he busted 3 arteries in his neck there, just getting pumped up coming off the mound there. It almost looked like he had a bit of a black eye there, so I don't know, maybe he punched himself in the face or something. Nevertheless, the Yankees most importantly hold on to the 3-3 tie there, and then of course in the 8th inning, the Yankees were able to do the damage, and again, probably in the most un-Yankee-like way, 2 outs, Jazz up against Garrett Whitlock, throws a walk, which you didn't really think of much. If you're okay, yeah, 2 out walk, and the next guy is just going to pop out, you didn't think much of it, especially with Wells up, who, he has some power, he can pop one out there. You don't really think of him as a contact hitter, he only hit 219 during the regular season there, but it was almost a perfect scenario for the Yankees. He was able to draw the count to 3-2, and this really set up almost the perfect scenario for the Yankees, and we've seen this happen to the Yankees a million times there, so it's just good that the Yankees were able to do it to another team. So obviously in 3-2 contact, 2 outs, Jazz is going to be running regardless, and he's a fast runner, we all know that, and the ball is hit in the perfect spot, so Wells smokes a single down to the right field line there, hits that wall there just by the foul ball territory a little bit, carrols around, bangs it, and just since it's kicking around out in the outfield there, it gives Jazz just enough time to run around the bases and just slide right under the catcher's tag there. They give the Yankees the 4-3 edge there. Again, this the most unlikely Yankee thing you would ever see. I mean, when you think the Yankees, you don't think about going from first and home. You don't see about getting lucky on balls, just hitting the right spot there to bounce around against the wall there. Again, that's usually happening to the Yankees, not that the Yankees do that to other teams there. So Yankees got a little bit of luck on that one, but it's just the perfect scenario. 2 outs on a 3-2 count, so Jazz is running regardless there, and the ball is hitting the right place there. This gives Jazz just enough time to slide on the tag and able to secure the 4-3 win. Now, they could have tacked on a couple more runs there, but Grisham not able to come through with the bases loaded there, 2 outs. So the Yankees stranded 3 runners there, and you always feel, you know what, that's going to come back to bite you. Luckily enough, it did not for the Yankees, and David Bednar came on in the 9th inning, struck out the first 2 batters there, and actually really got Duran good on a inside pitcher, completely froze him. Then Rafaela up, last batter of the game there, righty on righty there, took a ball to the right center, which for a couple, again, same thing, a couple of seconds I saw Judge running towards the warning track, like, oh my god, this ball's going to go over the wall, and you're going to be tied 4-4 there. But nevertheless, started to die out a little bit, and as soon as you saw Judge just kind of slow down against the warning track there, ball goes in the glove, and boom, game over, wrap up game 2 there, series tied at 1 game apiece, and again, a really nail-biting game. I mean, you go to the Trevor Story bases loaded situation. Trevor Story sends a ball to the warning track, and then you have this Bednar. Even to say it was a home run, it would have left the game tied 4-4, and you maybe still like your chances in the extra innings there. But obviously, you just want to secure that win and get it over, and get yourself to game 3 there. I guess with Boston, the only silver lining is they didn't have to use for Chapman for game 2. They had to extend him a little bit for game 1, but they didn't have to use him for game 2, so he should be on a normal rest for game 3. And the game 3 matchup, Cam Schlittler, the Yankee righty there, versus Connolly Early, 2 guys from Massachusetts. Now, Cam Schlittler grew up a Boston Red Sox fan, so it's going to be kind of awkward for him try to eliminate the team he grew up for, but obviously it's all business professional from there. Now, pitching matchup-wise, you would like the Yankees' chances in this. I mean, Connolly Early, first of all, setting a record. No pitchers ever made their debut within 30 days of making a postseason start, so this guy only has 4 major league starts under his belt. He's wearing a football number 71 on his back. This is a golden opportunity. Definitely, I would give the edge to the Yankees on this one. But of course, you never know. He is a lefty there, so that could be funky a little bit on them there. But I would say the Yankees have a night and day clear pitching advantage there. But again, Cam Schlittler at least has a number of starts under his belt there where you would feel a little bit more confident in him than if Alex Cora should, with Connolly Early on the mound there. But it almost doesn't really mean anything because, again, this is going to be an all-hands-on-deck sort of game. And even with Bayo in game 2 there, I mean, they didn't stick with him too long. They yanked him out by the 3rd inning once he fell behind a little bit there. So, even though Early's going to get the start here, that really doesn't mean anything. It's going to be all hands on deck. And probably going to say the same with Cam Schlittler. Now, I think the Yankees would like to stick with him a little bit longer. Obviously, we know, the high velocity, but, as I mentioned before, this is his first postseason start. You can't assume he's just going to treat it like every start. He possibly could be too amped up. So does that mean, is he going to be wild in the zone? Is he going to be leaving balls up to get clocked here? So I want to just safely assume that the Yankees have the clear heads and above shoulder pitching advantage there. Again, just because Schlittler has a little bit more experience here up the majors there. But again, overall, this is making his first postseason start. You just can't assume he's going to be golden there. But even if that does go away a little bit, it's going to be all hands on deck there. So whether, like Will Warren or Luis Heel has to come in. Again, the Yankees are going to go to the bullpen right away if they have to, if Schlittler starts slipping a little bit. And same thing is going to be Boston there. But overall, that being said, still like the Yankees' chances in this one. Now, obviously, Connolly Early is not Crochet there. So, I don't think Boone's going to stick to the normal lineup with right-handers there because you're going up against a lefty. Obviously, Crochet is a different type of lefty versus Connolly Early there. So we'll see how the lineup comes out there, but don't be surprised if Ben Rice is in there, lefty on lefty. Don't be surprised if Jazz is back at second base, lefty on lefty, because Crochet is a special type of lefty where, you're going to stack your lineup against righties there to try to get some sort of edge. This guy is not at that level yet. We don't know too much about him. Again, he's only had 4 career starts there. So, again, if the Yankees can't beat this guy and can't win this game 3, and it's kind of handed to them a little bit, then they don't deserve to go on there. So I would almost put it out that way as well. And for the Yankees, when I look at some guys, obviously Judge, hasn't gone the long ball yet, but again, he has at least gotten some hits in these first 2 games, so you can't say, hey, this is the typical postseason Judge, but really it's been glaring. It's been Giancarlo Stanton. 0 for 8. Obviously, look at that Game 1 situation where he had bases loaded, nobody out, an opportunity. Okay, you can't expect the guy to hit a grand slam, but do something, not strike out. And that's, at the very least, get a sacrifice fly, something. Not too much better in Game 2. So the guy who pretty much carried the Yankees through the postseason offensively last season, right now has been laying a big goose egg. Now, Can he right that ship very easily in Game 3 at his first at-bat? He wants to launch a home run? Go ahead. Maybe that'll do that. But definitely you can see him struggling there. But, of course, he's definitely going to be in the lineup. Again, kind of glaring how he's been 0 for 8. And for the Yankee bullpen, they came through this time. I know Cruz made you sweat a little bit. But, again, he held down the fort there. And Bednar, again, made you hold your breath a little bit. But overall got the job done. So, again, after the Yankee bullpen failed in Game 1, came through Game 2. You still you have a pit in your gut when these guys still coming out there on the mound. But nevertheless, you'll take the win and live to play another day. So the Yankees secure Game 2, stay alive, show a little heart, show a little moxie there, and again, put themselves in a very good situation. Thursday night, Game 3 in the Bronx. Hopefully, they'll come out ahead there and then move on to face Toronto. Catch you next time.